Anybody here work with animals in research? Great, well, that's good. That's more than I get a lot of times. I do too. I'm a biologist by training, so my PhD was in biology. And so what people want to know is, why do I need IACUC approval? Like, what is it? And what led up to animal welfare regulations, a little bit of history. I love all the letters. This is my favorite part about talking about animal regulations is IACUC and OLA and USDA and the OACC, TOPAZ. We'll define those real quick, and then we'll talk about why a monkey needs a lawyer. All right, and I want some feedback from y'all. Oh, this is Pavlov's dog. Anybody know about Pavlov? What do you know?
Drooled a lot.
Drooled a lot.
I was going to say classical conditioning.
Classical conditioning. Do you know how he did it? Well, he got a Nobel Prize in 1901 for describing all the different enzymes. Yeah.
His lab assistant noticed that when he brought up the dog's ration of meat powder, that he noticed that he theorized that his footsteps coming up the stairs over a period of time induced the dogs to salivate. And he asked his handler, Pavlov, how should we handle such a thing? Because it's, I think they treated it initially as an anomaly in the protocol.
Oh yeah, interesting. And when we talk about this in greater detail, and I don't want to go into great detail now, Pavlov actually, the Nobel Prize was for, again, describing digestive enzymes, and like amylase and 5 or 6 different enzymes. And the way he did it is he'd feed the animals, and the meat or the food wouldn't make it to the stomach; it would fall out, so they wouldn't be satiated. And they keep repeating this until they generate enough saliva or enzyme that he could then do his studies on that. Well, then he'd work on down, and he eventually got to peptidase and a couple of the other enzymes. Then the dogs, they just kind of put the flap up, and the dogs would go back to the pen, and they seem pretty happy. But he was able to collect a lot of enzyme by having different cuts along the digestive path. Okay, and then he discovered peptidase, which we discovered also that it was a useful tool useful for settling one's stomach. So the wealthy people that ate too much, that had upset stomachs, they could take a little Dr. Pavlov's peptidase, and it would settle their stomach, which turned into what? Yeah, the pink stuff, Pepto-Bismol. And so he was into a little bit of a business, and he had a bunch of dogs, and he was generating this peptidase to sell, go to market, and blah, blah, blah. So this is a mixture of research and commercialization, and maybe using the animal in this case, the animals, he had more than just this particular dog, to a different means than his original purpose. Why do I need IACUC approved animal use? Well, this is right off the website that we have here at UNM for IACUC, Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee. And it's just basically all UNM affiliated people must have an approved animal care and use protocol to conduct research. And that includes field observations using live vertebrate animals, amphibians, birds, fish, mammals, reptiles, vertebrate animal tissue. Why tissues? It's just tissue. Right, they want to know where you got it. Did you go down to Costco and get a couple of chickens? That's actually been an issue before. Why not cephalopod mollusks? I thought they were really smart. Octopuses. Oh, now we get into the idea of sentience. What's smart? We'll talk about that maybe in a minute. It includes breeding and holding, field laboratory tissue protocols, museum protocols. So we have some museums here that collect animals. Everything's submitted electronically via a program called TOPAZ. There's some PowerPoint tutorials that you can get online to show you how to actually submit protocols online. And you have to get a Novell username through the HSC to get on to TOPAZ and use the system. So the answer is when and why anytime you use animals. And that includes if you're an artist and you want to display budgies. That's a bird. You're using animals. I mean, it may not be research, but you're at UNM. Here's some of the history. Why? Well, I mean, if you look at this, basically animals have always been thought of as property. That's kind of just the bottom line here. They had an anti-cruelty law in New York in 1828, and that had to do if your mule was going, they didn't want your mules to go dead in the middle of the street because it'd be a road hazard, because people would be, making them go faster. They had the 28-hour law. If you were transporting livestock, every 28 hours you had to stop and water and exercise the animals. Nuremberg trials. Do it to animals first. That was the first time in research that it was formalized that if you're going to do research on humans, you got to do animal trials beforehand. Really what got everybody's attention was the disappearance of Pepper. It was a Dalmatian, somebody's dog. The dog was swiped in the middle of the night by an animal dealer that then sold the animal, and lots of animals, lots of dogs, to medical labs, which would use them. And they saw the dog, their own dog, in this newspaper article it's actually Sports Illustrated where it first came out. That's my dog. I wonder where Pepper went. So Life, I don't know, not too many people as old as me, but Life magazine was a big deal. Life, Look, Reader's Digest, Playboy, I think, but that's something else. But there wasn't many other sources of media at the time, and so this had a huge effect. That and Bonanza, if you watch TV, and that what helped Congress pass the Lab Animal Welfare Act in 1966, and it's been updated a whole bunch of times. And now we adhere to what's called the guide when we use animals in research. And this is the guide. It's actually a fairly small or thin book, but it has all the detail in it about what an animal is, the regulations, the standards for facilities. It establishes the IACUC itself. So it established the actual committee that does oversight. And subsequently, there's a number of regulations that popped up. OLA is the Office of Lab Animal Welfare that oversees the IACUC. So now you know what the IACUC is, now you know what OLA is. And these are some of the policies, and you can go to those links and pull them up. What does the IACUC do? Well, there's a committee, of course, with a chair, a veterinarian. So UNM has a chair of the IACUC. Actually, there's two of them, one on main campus, one on HSC. There's a veterinarian. They have scientific members, non-scientific members, non-affiliated. Non-affiliated, what does that mean? And why do you have it? Scientific members, you got to figure out what the study's about. Non-scientific members is someone from the institution that, they might do research, but there may not be an animal researcher. But what about non-affiliated? They're not affiliated with UNM, with the institution, and they're probably a member of the community. And that's often the case. And there may be a couple of people on there. So you have a large committee that reviews and approves these protocols that are submitted. The human subjects committees do similar things. The IACUC also inspects all the animal research facilities every 6 months, and they ensure compliance with laws and regs. And the main concerns are pain and distress. So how is pain or distress of animals used in research being dealt with? And this is the online thingy from Topaz. And so you submit your protocols using Topaz. You contact the Office of Animal Care Compliance staff and veterinarian early and often. They always are saying, if you're working with animals or you want to work with animals, call us, talk to us, email us, talk to the vet, talk to the staff. They know all the stuff. Review process, like with human subjects, can take time, so plan ahead. If you got research or a grant or something that you're working off of that needs to use animals, you need some time to get it through. And then remember, all uses of animals on campus or by UNM people must be IACUC approved before conducting the work. And these are assurance statements on the website. For instance, all personnel are aware of the ethical responsibilities associated with animal research activities and procedures for reporting animal welfare concerns. So you'll learn that during the training before you turn in the IACUC protocol. So you'll go to ALAS, American Association for Lab Animal something, and you'll go through some of that training and you'll learn what a lot of those statements or those assurances that you will agree to, what they actually mean. So that's what the ICOOC is, sort of a short history of the ICOOC, how you submit a protocol. These are the folks who you're going to call, the Office of Animal Care Compliance. Katie and Victoria are very easy to talk to and very get back to you quickly. But if you notice, there's a chair. This is the main campus chair. And then President Frank is the go-to-jail guy. What? Why would you have the highest ranking person at the institution be responsible for animal work on campus, ultimately? Of course, heads will roll if it gets to him. So, but why is that?
Accountability.
Accountability and pow. Someone that can build a building if it has to be built. Someone that can move personnel around if they have to be moved around. Someone that has the ability to make changes efficiently and quickly. And that role has actually been used a number of times where the facilities get inspected and there are some changes that have to happen immediately. And that's why it's important. If they don't happen immediately, there are ramifications. So we have a veterinarian, Dr. O'Hare, that you would also want to talk to. Okay, remember I said pain and distress? So there's categories for pain and distress. Just wanted to talk about one aspect of what you have to think about as an animal researcher. And so there's no pain to alleviated pain to unalleviated pain. So whatever protocol you submit needs to address these issues, whatever you're submitting. And at the same time, you need to take into account what's called the 3 R's. And this was promoted by Russell and Birch way back in 1959, before pepper disappeared. And it's reduction, refinement, and replacement. So reduction is minimize the number of animals used, do pilot studies. Employ techniques that reduce pain and distress, that's refinement. And then replacement, substitute animal with non-animal or lower animals, that is animals lower on the phylogenetic scale. I just want to ask two questions. One is reduction. What does that mean in your mind if you're doing a study with animals? Well, it says minimize the number of animals. What does that mean, though?
Just slaughter animals at random. You have to use maybe 1 or 2 instead of using 10, just recklessly.
Wrong! I could pick on you because you won a prize. Right, actually the IACOOC wants you to have enough animals used in the study to have some sort of statistical power. In other words, if you use 2 animals and you need 10 to have some sort of power in what your conclusions are, how you're addressing your hypothesis, 2 animals isn't going to work because it's going to be a waste of animals. And so reduction, yes, minimize, but not none or not like 1 or something. Now let's go back to this lower sentience thing. Animals lower on the phylogenetic scale. Sure, they're cheaper, they're more plentiful, but they're not that. Anybody know about this? Just like Rob's was talking about things in the news. This is April 20th. Updated, judge's ruling grants legal right to research chimp. Really? But wait a minute, I thought we just owned animals. We had all those rules about not beating your donkey in New York and all that stuff. Well, this is the journal Science. Has just learned about a court order that Hercules and Leo, 2 research chimps at Stony Brook, deserve to be treated as legal persons. What? What is this going to lead to? This is not good. Is it? Wait a minute. Wait. And this case is one of 3 cases that the Non-Human Rights Project has brought in an attempt to free chimps imprisoned. Anybody here work with prison populations? Chimps imprisoned within the state of New York through an Article 70 habeas corpus proceeding. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't really know what habeas corpus means, but I think it means that they get their day in court. So what does this mean? I don't know if that's Hercules or whatever, but this little thing here says, affording Hercules and Leo the status of legal persons means that the Long Island University where they are being held must now prove the legality of their imprisonment. This is from the UK. The last one was science, this is the UK. That was also 2 days ago. And then, I won't read this long thing, but it began in a whole bunch of lawsuits by this group to get this habeas corpus, which is usually to prevent people from being unlawfully imprisoned. See, I knew I'd tie it to prison somehow. Prison, see? Is that, okay, hold on. Here's the Non-Human Rights Project, and they're all excited. Judge recognizes 2 chimps as legal persons, grant them writ of habeas corpus. Oh, but wait. Yesterday and today, more news came out. The words writ of habeas corpus have been struck out of the judge's ruling. Oh, bummer. Suggesting that the court has made no decision on whether Hercules and Leo, 2 research chimps at Stony Brook, deserve to be treated as legal persons. That was yesterday. And then today says the court hearing has been moved back. So now it's not even going to come to a court hearing for another month. What do you think about this? So are other animals, do they have rights? Should they be treated in courts like they have rights? Or are they property? I'm the only person that got coffee during the break, so I'm going to have some. What do you think? I'm not going to say any more until you say something. Poor Annalicia has to wait to talk for... Oh, it depends? What do you mean it depends?
No one's lobbying that we set free all the earthworms in the biology building, so there's a spectrum there, right?
But don't you feel bad when you put a shovel in the dirt and you just get half a worm? Feel bad.
I feel bad, but I don't want to get taken to court.
Well, what I don't know. So are chimps? Oh, look how cute she is. Are chimps and earthworms equivalent? Why not? You're to say no. Why not? Or why?
I just don't know where you draw the line.
Oh, there has to be a line.
I mean, my cat's pretty smart, but I don't want to give her rights, you know?
So I wrote down some points, but I forgot what they were already, except that I think regulation, and I went through some of it, in using animals in research is fairly robust. And we have a lot of rules for how animals are used in research. You just mentioned your cat. Do you kick your cat?
I don't.
Okay, good. No, you don't have to claim that at all. But I'm saying, so nobody cares how's your pets, except when you get like 50 cats in a trailer, a little single wide, and yeah. So humans use animals in all sorts of contexts. So we have pets, we use them for food, research, and we're killing them with global change. I'm going to leave it at that. Any questions? Yeah. Oh.
I've got a whole lab full of animal tissues, and it never ever occurred to me that I would need IACUC approval for it.
Are they from the museum?
It's been dead for 5,000 years.
Oh, are they from the museum, or where are they from?
They're from an archaeological site.
Oh, okay, okay.
Where do you draw the line on that? Is it okay for me to pick up animal tissues in the form of roadkill for comparative purposes, but not something that's 3 meters away that's been dead for 1,000 years? Is there a statute of limitations for this sort of thing?
I think what the IACUC's curious is, where'd you get the tissue, and did animals suffer in that process? And was it legally taken? Was there pain and distress? And obviously, your case, no. If you're picking up roadkill, if you just are a guy that wants to feed, make a sandwich or something, you don't need any permits. But if you're picking up roadkill because you're studying porcupine relationships of this population of porcupines to the populations out of Lubbock, you need a permit for research. If you're working on phylogenetic relationships of mole rats and there's only 6 or 7, yeah, please get me off the stage, yeah. And you're doing this phylogenetic relationship and you need to borrow or get a subsample of tissues from 30 different museums around the world that have tissues of mole rats, that's covered as research, but it's also, it's implicit in the role of being a museum. If you notice, one of the uses of animals up here was museum use, for collecting for museums. And so that's the huge value that's out there.